light. Shadows creep and crawl with every scream. Hear the echoes call. Synths and guitars in a haunting blend. An 80s vibe where the terror transcends. Shocktoberfest, scream until dawn. In your nightmares, the terror's reborn. Lights flash, monsters take flight. Embrace the darkness, it's a metal night.
How's it going, everybody? Wildman Wes here, and welcome to day 26 of Shocktoberfest 80s Rewind. Well, we are at the midpoint of 1988, and I realized something. We haven't done a sequel for a while. Then again, there's another thing we haven't done in a long time. A Clive Barker movie, or at least a movie that Clive Barker's associated with. Today we're going to be talking about 1988's Hellbound, Hellraiser II. This movie... There is a lot of information that goes through this film, especially with the backstory of Pinhead, but we're going to get to that in just a little bit. This movie starts off with shortly after Kirsty going to the hospital from the first film after fighting off Pinhead and the Cenobites, and she meets this young girl named Tiffany who has this fascination with puzzles. Also at this hospital, the doctor that is in charge has a lot of unorthodox ways of dealing with his patients, especially with their cerebral mentality. And a lot of it is very disturbing and could cause not just psychological scars, but physical scars as well. Also at this hospital, the doctor in charge is aware of the lamentation puzzle boxes. And he has one. Actually, he has multiple. And he uses his patients to go over the lamentation puzzle boxes to unleash the Cenobites. In the midst of all that, Julia, the stepmother of Kirsty, is resurrected, and she seduces the doctor to get her back to her human form by absorbing and consuming other humans in the process. When Kirsty becomes aware of the doctor's plans, she does her best to rescue Tiffany from the clutches of the doctor, and as well as her stepmother Julia. All hell literally breaks loose. The Cenobites arrive. They start questioning Kirsty on why she opened the puzzle box again, and didn't she learn from the last time? And she has to stake her claim of she wasn't the one who opened the puzzle in the first place. It was the doctor responsible all along. During the cat and mouse chase of Kirsty and the Cenobites, Kirsty finds out the truth behind Pinhead's human form. Or not just that, who he was before he became the Pinhead that we all know, love, and sometimes hate. When Kirsty shows Pinhead a picture of him when he was a human, it definitely delves into the situation of, what have I become? He starts to lamentate in a way of his past and his humanity. Also during the chaos, the doctor turns into a monstrous being attacking Kirsty and Tiffany, and throughout the whole chase, Kirsty is able to thwart the plans of the doctor, take down the Cenobites, take down her stepmother Julia, and rescue Tiffany, where they walk off into the sunset away from the hospital, in which they find an old mattress that was discussed in the first film that Julia was consumed on. And, well, let's just say the Cenobites live to terrorize another day. They'll just leave it at that. Now it's time to talk about what I like and what I don't like about Hellraiser 2. We're going to start off with what I don't like first. There isn't necessarily a lot that I don't like about it. However, we're going to go back to that soapbox situation of pacing. A lot of this movie, when it's trying to get from point A to point B, definitely has this subsection of point C to Z in between, and it can be a little off-putting. Not just that, but Clive Barker was more of a producer in this film and not necessarily a writer or a director. So when you're taking material from someone who created a character and start to delve off into other ideas, it tends to get muddy, and this movie did get a little muddy, especially with the backstory of Pinhead's human form, because we do see a little glimpse of it at the beginning of the film, and there are little tidbits here and there. However, they really didn't bask into it enough. And eventually, if my mind serves me right, in a lot of the other sequels, they do. However, if you're going to do something like that, you gotta go all in. And in this situation, they didn't go all in. If you think about other horror franchises with their sequels, they went on all in. They did. Especially a concept of Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. They literally put all the cards on the table and talked about Freddy Krueger's backstory, about his mother and all of that. And oddly enough, if you've seen this movie and you're watching the scenes in the hospital with Kirsty and Tiffany, doesn't it look a little bit like the hospital used in Dream Warriors? It felt like it. A lot of those rooms looked very Elm Street-esque. I could be wrong, but if you watch it again and you look around, things looks very, very familiar. When it comes to the things that I like, I do appreciate the fact that they did have most of the original cast from the first movie, with Ashley Lawrence playing Kirsty, Claire Higgins playing Julia. We also had Doug Bradley, Pinhead, the definitive Pinhead pretty much. And we also have, Imogene Borman, who is the character Tiffany. We also have a bit part by William Hope, who played Gorman in Aliens. So that was kind of cool, seeing some fresh faces that I've recognized in other films. I also really do appreciate the special effects that they did for this film. With the first film, they did what they could on the budget that they had, and in this one, especially when they go into the full-on labyrinths and pretty much the pit of hell, with all the mazes and all of the backdrops and a lot of the magical special effects, it looked really innovative for that time. And I really appreciated that they didn't just delve into animatronic monsters after animatronic monsters, especially with the character of the Doctor, who, when he became a monster, he definitely had some slight animatronic to the special effect, but they did have him physically within the contraption to give it more of a realistic approach. So on that, I commend that movie for doing that, because not a lot of them did back in the 80s. Though the pacing is very off, and some of the backstory of Pinhead's human form could have been done, I wouldn't say better, they could have given it more justice. That's what I'm going for, is more justice for Pinhead's human form. The cast and the acting, as well as the special effects, definitely hold it together. And with that being said, I can't say necessarily that I'm being lenient or that I'm being biased. I'm going to give Hellraiser 2 a solid B. It is not a bad sequel. There are a lot of bad sequels out there, but this one is definitely above average. And I appreciate that there are sequels out there that can keep my attention for at least about 80% of the time I'm watching. Well, we hope you enjoyed this review on Hellbound Hellraiser 2. If you've seen this movie and you agree with me, leave a thumbs up. And if not, I get it. Not every movie is for everybody, especially in the horror department, and especially sequels. Also, make sure you share on social media, but most importantly, push that little red button. Let's get this channel up to at least 500 subscribers before the end of 2025. One of the big reasons why is when you hit that milestone of 500 subscribers, you can put polls within your channel. And when it comes to the video game stuff that I'm going to be doing down the line, I like to do a viewer's choice, and sometimes when I put these posts up on social media, it doesn't necessarily get looked at by a lot of people. And in this situation, I can see the votes as they come along. Other than that, I'm Wildman Wes, and we will see you next time for day 27 of Shocktoberfest 80s Rewind. Take care, and as always, stay scared, kiddies, because we've got such sights to show you.
Shock!